Hey, this is Wakia in the spirit of Crazy Horse Geronimo and Sitting Bull. Uh, just relaxing today out at the ranch in Sandy Valley, Nevada, after a trip back to the city. See previous video. Um, well, maybe I'll talk about Ishtar first, since this is Easter, quote unquote Easter. I just thought I'd mention a couple of things about uh, that it's a pagan holiday. I'll start with that, and that's cool because a lot of people call me pagan. But Christians, this is their big holiday, and it's I don't know if they know it or not, but doesn't have a whole lot to do with the man Yeshua or Jesus Christ. In fact, doesn't have anything to do with the resurrection, the day he was resurrected or died or nailed to the cross or whatever. It doesn't have anything to do with that. Not in reality, but where it came from was pagan origins. And there's several goddesses involved: Ishtar and Eostre, I think it is Eostre, Easter, Eostre. And she was the one that I think the little bunny rabbits have something to do with her, and the eggs and all that stuff. And then you got Ishtar, which is the goddess of sex, fertility, and rock and roll. I don't know. I love it, actually. And I just thought I'd mention it just to ruin Christian's day in case you didn't know it. Uh, doesn't have anything to do with Yeshua, okay? Wasn't even the day that he died or anywhere near it. Might be near it, but. So I thought I'd get that out of the way. What else do I want to talk about? What's important in this day and age besides being a spiritual warrior, okay, which I talked about before yesterday, and being a physical warrior, just like in the spirit of Crazy Horse, Hoka Hey, Good Day to Die, Geronimo, and Sitting Bull. I mentioned yesterday, I was looking a little bit more into Sitting Bull's quotes. Man, that guy was, he was the supreme Lakota medicine man. He was a Christ himself, a spiritual leader, a Messiah to his own people, until later on when they turned on him. But that was due to circumstances at the reservation and certain turncoat Indians being tribal Indians, or not tribal, police Indians, tribal police Indians. What a great man what he was, though, Sitting Bull, and he had great foresight, okay? Tatanka Yatanka. What a great man, along with Crazy Horse and a few others. All spiritual leaders, all medicine men. All beyond the scope of anybody's comprehension today. Any of these leaders today. This political thing that's going on right now brings out the worst in people, doesn't it? Remember when it first started, Thunder said, this is all bullshit and don't pay any attention to it, and it's going to go on and on and on, and it's going to get more and more vicious, and that's exactly what's happening. Got these buffoons out there. They're all buffoons, really. There's Bernie and Hillary and Trump, and none of them have a freaking clue, really. They say a lot of stuff, Hillary's an outright gangster. I'll just comment a little bit on the political thing. She's an outright gangster and murderer and heinous bitch, basically. And there's facts to prove the murdering and the Vince Foster thing, and everybody forgets about all that shit. And the Benghazi incident, and she's under indictment, yet she's running for president. Ain't that cool? Gangsters running for president now. And then you got Bernie out there who's spouting off about social stuff and more leaning towards socialism and making all kinds of promises. He won't be able to keep them. They won't. None of these people that make promises ever keep them. They speak with a forked tongue. And Trump, he's kind of upset the apple cart, hasn't he? The one thing I like about him, and again, I'm not political at all, or I'm not for anybody, because they're all clowns, really. But the one thing I like about him is that he upsets everybody else in the Republican Party and in the whole political spectrum. He upsets everybody, and they're all against him. So maybe he's doing something right. I don't know. He's his own man. He's a billionaire. What do you think? You know, he doesn't have to rely on super PACs and all this shit for money. All this stuff, though, is it's hilarious. It's like a reality TV show, you know. When I watched the first debates, it was like, hello. These people are all scripted, and they're all sitting up there with their little planned jibes and attacks, and they're silly. They're just a bunch of clowns. It's really pathetic, really. Because these people don't run the country anyway. The country's run by the central bankers and the people that are way high up there, and they got all their tentacles out into all the congressmen. And so if you're following this political thing and you're putting any weight in it, and you're out there voting and you're waving your freaking flag and all that shit, you're stupid. Plain and simple. You're just buying into an illusion that people have choice in this country. People don't have choice in this country. Are you kidding me? They've fixed these things, baby. Look at the Electoral College. Doesn't go by people's popular vote. You can start off with that right there. You know, you can start off with the fact that it doesn't go by popular vote. It goes by how many delegates you have, and those can easily be manipulated. It's a joke. It's a freaking joke. Just like the rest of the idiots out there that are in the government, okay? The government's a joke. They're a bunch of whining bitches and tantrum-throwing idiots, psychotic nutcases is what they are. Anybody that would try to change the way of the red man when he had it so down pat here in America, anybody that would come in and try to interfere with that. I saw this cute little thing that I posted today on the Campfire Council. I can't remember the exact words. It was an old Indian chief. They were questioning him, and he goes, well, they came in and they found Indians on the land, and it was their land, and they were free, and they enjoyed life, and their women did all the work while they went out and hunted all day, and then came home and had pretty heavy-duty sex every night. Why would you try to change that situation? Good point. Very good point. And the women did do all the work. It was a matriarchal society. And they enjoyed it, and they took that as their place in life. You know, it's like you know, they did all the tent work, and they broke down the village, and they set it up, and they put up the lodge poles and the teepees, and they, you know, when they wanted to make clothes, they chewed on a buffalo hide for hours, and they made their men buckskin clothes. Uh, They washed anything that needed to be washed. They took care of all the encampment and the fires. They probably made real good love too to their men, and they treated their men with honor, and they braided their hair for them, and did a lot of things for them that today would be considered male chauvinism. If that, yeah, it's such bullshit the way society's gotten. Because the tribal way was the real cool way. It was you just can't get any better than that. And there was no real big deal about age difference between men and women, which I like. Because I've always liked younger women, and you know, in the tribes, a lot of times a younger woman would be with, you know, a more, let's put it this way, a brave with a few gray hairs on his head. Okay, a more mature man, been around for a while. A younger woman would gladly go with him, because it was an honor, okay, and she would learn the ways that she had never learned before, things that she had never learned before, especially if the brave was even, you know, could have been a medicine man even, and then once he left and took the journey, you know, and she was free to remarry. Any young buck that was after her would shortly find out that he had a real prize on his hand after she had gone and lived with an elder in the tribe, let's put it that way. And there's just so many customs, tribal customs, that were so cool and so outside what we call political correctness today, that it's mind-boggling to think that that way of life has passed away, basically. What a beautiful way of life. And the man did honor the woman and the tribe and the village by going out and being the hunter and being the warrior, which was not an easy task in itself, but they considered it fun. In fact, the women considered it fun doing what they did. It was all an enjoyable thing. And yes, it was a matriarchal society. In other words, the women were like goddesses. I mean, they were like, they had a lot of say, okay? And even some of the rules regarding marriage and who you went and lived with, the man would go live with the woman's family. And if they ever split up, the woman got the children, if they were younger, because they had not yet reached that age of maturity where they could become a warrior or whatever. And then when they did, they were taught by the men. And the elderly in the tribe were always respected, okay? They were always included. They were always part of the tight family circle. In fact, they even slept in the same teepees a lot of times. There was none of this stuff about this is taboo, or this is naughty, or this is immoral, or, and you know, relationships were pretty much the same. And there were little little arguments sometimes, and there was sometimes a little bit of cheating going on, and stuff like that. Indians weren't perfect, okay? They had their likes and dislikes too, just like when Crazy Horse ran off with No Water's woman. They had met before, and had always had a love for one another. Stuff like that, you know, happen. It happened, you know, shit happens, okay? So, tribal tradition, tribal ways, living next to nature and seeing God in nature, seeing Great Spirit in nature. That's exactly what paganism is defined as. Seeing God in nature, or worshiping nature as God, which is pretty close to what native people, I mean, after all, it's grandfather sky and grandmother earth. In the spirit of the four directions, you know, which is Sapa, Luta, Gi, and Ogaga Ska. West, north, east, and south consecutively, in case you didn't know that. But today, we see the world awash in political correctness. We see the world totally cut off from nature. People living in cities, in squalid cities, full of disease and pollution and the whole ball of wax. And the ancient ways have been forgotten, except by those of us who have reverence, still have reverence for that way, and still practice ritual and give honor to that tradition, and still pass the pipe and sit around the campfire. Just like, you know, this is how we view things in the Campfire Council, which I created, which is a group of people on the internet who are like family, okay? And there's new people coming in every day because they like what we stand for, and I'll tell you exactly what we stand for, okay? In case you didn't know. The Campfire Council is a group of people, and I started the Campfire Council, is a group of people that believe that they should be free, number one, in all areas of life, free spirit, okay, free spiritual warriors, both physical, as in what you see behind me there, or a bow and arrow or a knife or whatever, and spiritual, which is beyond explanation except for the fact that there's all kinds of things involved with that. Energy transference, energy centers, like the Hopi people would talk about the door to the top of your head, which is your crown chakra, which can be opened with a circulation of energy, which they had a secret society for. Not too many people know this, not even tribal people. The medicine men know it, okay? The shamans know it. They know about it. And that's what we believe in here at the Campfire Council. We believe in meditation. We believe in circulation of the microcosmic orbit, which is a method to increase your energy and your energy flow. We believe in all kinds of things. We have very open mind. about everything. Tantra, which is an ancient traditional yoga, which is from the Indus Valley. These are all things I've done videos on. We talk about castaneda, we talk about shamanistic practices, we talk about peyote, we talk about all the stuff that you're not supposed to talk about. Sex, openly, okay, and with no shame or what's the word I'm looking here for here? Not thinking that anything is immoral or any of that kind of thing. Not coming from that Christian ethic where everything's naughty and you got to keep everything hidden and you can't talk about sex and this and that, which is totally absurd. And we also believe in prepping, okay, or being prepared. That's the term they use now, you know, prepping. But, you know, if you're a true warrior like Crazy Horse or Geronimo or anybody, you were always prepared for the worst. I mean, you know, when Geronimo was fighting off the Bluecoats and Chief Nana and Mangus Colorado and all these guys that were heavy-duty warriors and warrior chiefs, they had stashes all over the friggin' place in the Southwest. They had caves that were full of food and ammunition and guns that they had taken on raids. And everything that they needed in the case of an emergency situation. And if they got caught in one area, they would migrate quickly to another area, and they would hit that cave that they had put boulders in front of and camouflage, open that baby up, and there'd be, sometimes there'd even be gold in there, which they had no use for, which they sometimes took off the mining wagons, okay, as they made their raids. So the point I'm trying to make here is that being prepared is nothing new to tribal people. Being prepared was a way of life with tribal people. It was a way of life. You packed up and were ready to go, and you could move a whole village or encampment of thousands of Lakota people overnight. That's how together they were. The women would just take those lodge poles and teepees down and pack everything up, and boom, it was, you were out of there. They were nomadic, okay, as most tribes are. They learned to live off the land wherever they were. Now compare that with your normal Joe Blow in the city, okay, who couldn't find his ass with both hands if he tried. And if you set him out in the wilderness with nothing, how long do you think he'd survive? How long do you think he would know what the four basic basic needs are for survival, and what order those needs would have to be obtained? How many people know that you have to have shelter first? How many people know that you have to have water and fire second, and third, close third, water first, fire second, and then after that, food would be the last thing in the world that you'd need to survive? But how many people could be put out, make their own clothes, make their own campfire without matches, hunt deer, butcher deer, roast it over a fire, know how to pack the meat up, make jerky, How many people know this shit? None. Zilch in the city. So you put them out in the wilderness, they'll live about, maybe 3-4 hours. Okay. They don't know how to track animals. They don't know how to cook over an open fire. They don't know how to purify water. They don't know how to find water. So these are things that we talk about in the Campfire Council. And we talk about guns and how to load guns and shoot guns and bows and arrows and crossbows and anything that we talk about, knives. So, and techniques for using it, and we talk about martial arts, and we talk about storing up food, and people are always putting videos on there about nature, wilderness, and survival, and how to be a good tracker. And that's what my vision was when I started the Campfire Council, and still is to put up information on a website and have a group of people that could bond and talk about things and give each other encouragement and have a vision and a dream. And I still have a vision. I'm out on a ranch now of eventually, if I have the means to do it, and if I get some donations going, and not just donations, but some other things happening that I'm pursuing, then it's possible that the ranch out here could be, hopefully someday, could be a place where we could all sit around the campfire. And I'm working on it. But right now it's a group of people on Google. We're using the enemy's internet, I guess I should say. We're using the enemy's I don't know what you call Google and Facebook and all that. Social media, I guess, I don't know. But we're using it to our advantage. We follow closely world events, too. We follow world events. And we know the truth about the world events, okay, because we research it. We look beyond the mainstream media, the prostitutes, the prostitute press. We look beyond that and we dig for truth, and we've got people all over the world and in Russia, and we know what's really going on in the Ukraine, and we know what's really going on in Syria. In fact, we know what's really going on in the world, as opposed to a million, billions of people that don't. And we have our own bases of intel, okay? Each person on there comes up with their own, scans the internet and comes up with their own little bases of intel. Is it all 100% correct? No, but pretty much, pretty close. People on there are pretty enlightened, and we've got people of all persuasions and religions, and got a few nutcase Christians. I'm just joking, but people do get a little carried away sometimes with the Christian thing. Thunder comes on there every once in a while and swoops in like a hawk, okay, and shreds some of the stuff that's on there. Nope, ain't putting that on. When people start getting biased and people start getting prejudiced and racist and that type of stuff, that ain't allowed at the Campfire Council. we don't buy into all this bullshit about blaming different religions, and they're all bad, baby. They divide. So, but if you can be in one without buying into that bullshit, then that's okay. Anyway, I guess I talked long enough. I'm just kind of kicking back after my trip and enjoying being back in the desert here, and being with my sister out here in Sandy Valley on the ranch, on the Sundowner Ranch. It'd be nice if you could send a few prayers to my sister right now. She's not feeling too well, but she's been not feeling too well before and pulled out of it. So, but if you could send some good energy and thoughts to my sister Marty, that'd be good. I'd appreciate that. Might help, you know. That kind of stuff does. And Thunder even can always use some good energy coming his way. All kinds of good energy. I love it. And I try to give out good energy whenever I can. And love that feminine energy coming my way too. Oh boy. That's a whole nother subject that I won't go into today because I'm rambling on already. But most of this video has been about the Campfire Council. And I think it's really good. And the links are below if you want to check out the site. You know, I always post the links below. If anybody has any questions or if anybody likes what I talk about. And I talk about all kinds of things. I talk about everything, man. I've got videos covering every form of meditation and world events and shamanism and wisdom keeping and ways of looking at the world and Hopi people and stories and stories and stories about all kinds of different tribes, tribal people. Go Yathle Geronimo, better known as Geronimo, one who yawns. And the Lakota people and stories about them and their secret societies, of which Thunder knows probably more about than some of the people in the tribe themselves, because I'm a writer and I research this stuff. And I feel like it's part of my tradition too, even though it may be a different tribe or bloodline than the one I'm from. I know all about all tribes, not just my tribe and my people. And even the white man is a tribe too, so. And the word shaman originally came from Russia. I don't know if people know that, but that's true too. Anyway, some food for thought and just relaxing here and talking. And I guess I'll leave it there today, and I hope people check into this link below about the Campfire Council if you're interested, or at least watch my videos, because I talk about all the kinds of things that I just talked about is on the Campfire Council. And at some point you might just go, well, yeah, you know, maybe that sounds pretty good. Anyway, I'm out of here for today. Adios.